from Police Chief Jason Umberger and Sheriff Mike Chitwood. We do have some video to show during this briefing. It's still under investigation. FDLE is investigating, so there's not a ton we're going to be able to talk about today, but we'll try to answer your questions.
All right. Good evening. Earlier today at about 1:30, DeLand police investigators were working on an unrelated burglary investigation in the area of the Friendly Way when they observed a vehicle, a white Dodge Charger, that they knew was connected to a previous aggravated assault with a firearm that had occurred last week, August 17th, in our city. They conducted a traffic stop on this vehicle at West Euclid and South Woodland and observed 3 occupants inside. Florida Department of Law Enforcement is investigating the circumstances of the events that occurred after the traffic stop was initiated. However, we do know that shots were fired by one DeLand police officer and a Volusia Sheriff's deputy. A passenger in the back seat, 20-year-old Javion Barthel, was shot. Officers immediately rendered first aid and emergency personnel responded. However, Mr. Barthel succumbed to his injuries at the scene and was deceased. The driver of the vehicle and the front seat passenger have been detained pending further investigation. I will now provide details on the incident from August 17th as it relates to this incident today. Around 6 a.m., 2 female victims came out of their home in the 600 block of Parsons Avenue and reported that they were confronted in their driveway by an unknown subject brandishing a firearm. The subject pointed the weapon at them and attempted to fire the weapon numerous times. However, the weapon malfunctioned and did not fire. The subject then ran from the scene. He was not identified. Since the 17th, investigators have been working on trying to identify the persons involved in the attempted shooting. Investigators have developed information and identified several persons of interest. They identified this vehicle, the white Dodge Charger, that they knew to be involved. This case is still under investigation to determine who that individual was who brandished the firearm and tried to shoot the 2 women and the second individual who was present that morning as well. At this time, the circumstances surrounding the police-involved shooting, as I said, are being investigated by the Florida Department of Law Enforcement. We are going to show 3 videos that are pertinent to this investigation, and then the sheriff is going to make some comments.
I think, Jason, one thing you didn't tell us what we recovered from inside the car.
Yes, and inside the car today, a firearm was recovered, which corroborates, what we believe occurred out there.
DeLand police are searching for a suspect who pulled out a gun during a high school football game Friday night.
Barthel pulled a semi-automatic handgun out of his sweatshirt, the weapon seen on stadium surveillance. However, investigators say Barthel took off before they could confront him.
Hands up, hands up, hands up, hands up, hands up, hands up, hands up. I'll take care of you. I'll put up behind that fence as soon as I can show you. I don't know. Tell me to go somewhere. Here, I've got the gloves on and I've got the body. Yes. Where he was seen. You can tell that it's obviously this place. person that probably used it.
This is the video from the morning of the 17th.
You gotta listen, you can hear the click, how many times you guys pulling the trigger, and nothing's going, it's not working for it.
Today's scene. The firearm in the rear of the vehicle.
The deceased was sitting in that seat, and what we got is he points the gun at the land officer, and then the officers open fire.
Can you please shut down the lights?
Please, thank you.
DeLand police are
I just want to do, just to show you, this was the weapon that was recovered 3 months after the incident that occurred. Actually, almost a year to the day is when he was spotted with a firearm at Spec Martin Stadium during a football game, which led to an arrest warrant. And when we arrested him, that was the firearm that we recovered. It's red because we printed the firearm. And if you pay attention to what has been going in here in the area of DeLand and Spring Hill, you'll notice there has been a huge uptick of gun violence. There are people out there that are basically telling us, we're not cooperating, we're going to handle this in our own manner. And this stems back to last Thanksgiving, where we had a bunch of shootings in a 10-day period, where, what was the address of the house where the woman, the mother, these people are going after people's mothers, they're going after people's sisters, and when you get pulled over by the police, you point a firearm at them. You know, unfortunately, our deceased in this case, he began his criminal career at the age of 12. Battery on school employees. And if you look at his criminal history as a juvenile and to where we are as an adult, it's in 20 years, you know, obviously in 8 years, from 12 to the age of 20, the propensity toward violence is off the chart. And that's what we're trying to deal with and we're trying to combat here. As hard as these folks work in DeLand, as hard as we work here, if their community is hell-bent on getting revenge, there's not a lot that we can do. If they're hell-bent on killing people's mothers and sisters to get revenge for what occurred, we're dealing in a different realm here. That's what people have to understand. And the only thing standing between anarchy is us. Thank God the DeLand police officer is going home safely. My deputy is going home safely. For the family, I offer my condolences. I'm sorry. But then again, this started a long time ago. You know, you can't be running around with guns at football games. You can't be pointing guns at the police. You can't be shooting up neighborhoods and trying to assassinate people's parents.
Sheriff, if you could just please stand behind the mics when you're talking so we can all make sure we hear you.
Are you new here?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay.
I just want
I'm only teasing.
Is that a replica, a 3D replica of the football?
This is what's called a ghost gun. Okay? There are no identifying marks on this gun. There's no serial number. There's no anything. And the purpose of that is it's not traceable. That's what it is. We're not sure what was carried at the football game, but after DeLand PD did a great job and went out and got arrest warrants, we spotted him. As you saw in the video up there, I think it was 11/28. So 3 months later, we spot him and we chase him, and he ditches the gun. This is the gun that he had on him that night. And I mean, obviously, this one has a laser sight on it. The one we see here has a flashlight to it. And again, it's an extended magazine, like the other, this gun had an extended magazine for more firepower. And when you Ben, what's the house where they shot the mama with the AK? 600 block of Mathis. We had a shooting a little while back where they, in the broad daylight, fired about 20 shots through a home with an AR-15 that went through the house, through concrete. You know, and then you look at what we just saw. You saw a murder that didn't occur.
Yes.
Because the gun malfunctioned for whatever reason. Those people were dead because of their brother and their son, who was sitting in jail at the time. That was an absolute hit. And that's what that car that they see today, that they're looking for, that white car, was seen leaving the scene. Technology puts it near the scene. The question is, who was in that video? And there's a $10,000 reward for anybody who wants to identify who was in that video to try to assassinate those people.
So we haven't confirmed that it was Barthel, who pointed the gun at the home.
We don't know who it is. That's why there's a $10,000 reward for that. We know that that white car today had fled from law enforcement once, more than once. The driver of that vehicle, they were looking for him. Okay, and we have pretty good reason to believe that the night this occurred, our deceased was part of that hit crew. Whether he's a triggerman or not, we can't tell you. But this was a hit crew that he was part of. And then today, when he was stopped, obviously, he made the fatal move to point a handgun at law enforcement.
This one also a gun, ghost gun as well?
Great question. We won't know that. FDLE's processing the car, so everything, as you know, was sealed up and taken to be processed. I don't know. It looks kind of familiar. I mean, when you look at the gun we recover and you look at this, it kind of looks like there's a thing going on with these ghost guns. We're seeing more and more ghost guns. We're seeing more and more people that are printing firearms off of 3D printers that are being used in crime scenes. So this is all new to us. Yep. But I think in our combined experience, we're not going to cooperate with you. This is a matter between families now. We're going to settle this out on the streets. Again, our shooting was in broad daylight. It was like 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
So just to clarify, today, were officers specifically looking for this vehicle today, and then perhaps got like a license plate reading of it?
They were looking for that vehicle,
okay.
and it just happened to go past them
Okay.
when they were working on an unrelated case.
And so that's what initiated the traffic?
Yes, that's what initiated them trying to stop it.
I know you guys have been saying that the suspect pointed the gun at officers. Did he ever fire the gun before you guys shot him?
We won't know that
Yeah,
until FDLE examines the gun. You know, all hell was breaking loose. And the amazing thing in this is the way they shift gears.
Yeah.
You know, there was a shooting, and in a matter of seconds, officers are coming up,
Right.
pulling him out of the car, cutting his clothes off, doing first aid, doing CPR, and it boggles your mind to see how quickly people were transitioning from a life and death situation to trying to save that person that they shot.
And you said one shot was fired by DeLand police, one by Volusia County deputy. Can you help us visualize where they were in terms of the car and the victim?
No, we can't. That's part of Florida Department of Law Enforcement's investigation. You know, where those officers were positioned when that all transpired.
How many shots were fired?
Yeah, how many shots were fired?
What position they were in, all that stuff gets done
Yeah.
by FDLE. They recreate the crime scene.
Yeah, and they'll release that investigation, and that'll be made public.
Do you know who owns this car? Is it?
It's a rental.
Okay.
Yes, it was a rental.
The identity of the suspect?
Do you want to say anything?
Javion Barthel.
Javion Barthel, 20 years old.
Yeah.
20 years.
Yes, sir.
And that's the deceased.
That
That's
is the deceased.
Yes.
I'm trying to paint a quick picture of why VSO was also there. Did one of you call for the other agency's help, or I'm just trying to understand like, why both agencies?
They were broadcast. Well, first of all, we overlapped.
Yeah,
Okay.
We're you know, one side of the street's the land, one side of the street is us. And they were on the air, and my detective just happened to be in the area on another paperwork assignment. He wasn't even out there to do anything. Heard it, and he said, "I'm right up the street from here. I'm going to go over and back them up."
Our officers and deputies do that all the time.
Javion fired and killed the back.
We don't know
We
that.
don't know that.
We don't know if he
We don't-
fired.
we don't know
What
that.
we believe and what some of the footage that we can't show you yet says that he pointed the firearm at the DeLand officer from the back seat of that car.
So he remained in the back seat.
He remained in the back seat of the car.
Do you know who the other? There was no.
There was a driver,
Okay.
female passenger,
And then
and
him
in the passenger rear was the deceased.
And no injuries to them.
no
no
injuries to
injuries.
them.
Are they arrested? I said
They're in custody, being questioned. I believe some criminal charges will be forthwith, but I don't know exactly what that'll be yet.
I'm sorry if you already said this, but can you talk a little bit about the scuffle which led up to Javion pointing his gun at the officer and then the other officer coming to assist? Can you talk about like the lead up to what happened?
Yeah, I don't, like, again, the details of that, you know, they attempted, normally what occurs on a traffic stop is the officers were approaching the car, and at some point on their approach to the vehicle, the firearm was displayed, and then there were shots fired, okay?
So the one officer knew that he was going to pull the car over, and then the other officer heard that he might need help and then came. Sorry, I'm just trying to visualize.
Everybody, you get on the air, okay? I'm behind that white car we're trying to stop. I'm going to light it up, throw the lights on, the car pulls over. You have other people in the area because they know we were looking for this car. It just so happened that my detective was like a block away, so he's the first person there. And then what's communicated is, you know, that investigation will flush that out, but basically the bad guy points a gun at the DeLand sergeant, which causes him to fire, which causes my deputy to return to fire into the car as well.
And was it the 20-year-old who had, like, was it the rental car in his name, or
No.
the person who owned, who was with
Was the driver.
Okay.
The driver rented the car.
And do you have anything to do with this, or not really?
We don't
This
know.
incident, we don't know yet. This is all coming back to what you saw with the attempted assassination.
And the two other passengers were two men as well?
Male and a female
In the front seat.
in the front seat. Male driver,
Female passenger.
female passenger, deceased behind her.
And I just want to make sure I have this correct. On August 17th, the person in that video who tried to shoot the gun multiple times but it failed was not the person that is dead today.
We don't know.
We don't know.
We don't know. We know that that car
Was connected to that.
was very nearby that scene. Technology tells us that that car was behind that. It was very close to that scene. And 3 known individuals to law enforcement were seen in that car. Who the shooter was, we don't know. That's what the $10,000 reward is for somebody to say, I know who that was.
So, but you all believe that the people in this car today could have somehow been connected to the August 17th attempted murder?
They may have been.
They could have been.
They could have been.
When you say technology, you mean like license plate readers and things like that? Okay.
Yep.
And going back to the video that you guys played, I think it was, I think there was a date of 11/28/2022, and then I think one of September 4th, 2022. With the tents, what exactly was that scene? So we obviously see them recover a gun.
Homeless camp.
Okay.
So the first video you see is actually the one Claire Metz is narrating, is what DeLand had put out from what occurred at the football game.
Okay.
And then they get an arrest warrant, and it takes us about 3 months, us meaning us, all of us, to try to find him. And they do get a tip that he is in this block where this homeless camp is. I think it was Thompson Street, maybe. And then he sees us, obviously, runs a short way, and we get him, and then we recover the firearm from that. And he's charged in that case.
Okay. Thank you. For the sake of accuracy, can you spell the suspect's name? Sorry.
Jayvion, Javion Barthel, Barthel, age 20.
He lives here in DeLand?
Yes.
DeLand.
Is he known in the area?
Oh, very well. Very well. I mean, like I said, unfortunately, his first arrest was at 12. And then he's known to all of us in the sheriff's office and in DeLand very, very well, which is sad. But when you look at these firearms and you look at what we're recovering and you look at the shooting scenes and you look at the homicides, there is a level of violence that is on the rise, not only in this area but nationwide, and we're seeing it. It doesn't matter what side of the street it's on, if it's on DeLand's jurisdiction or if it's on the sheriff's jurisdiction, we're coming to get you and do everything humanly possible. You know, there's some technology coming at it, and I'm not at liberty to tell you that we are going to take the fight to the gun toters. You know, you're going to tote a gun and you're going to shoot up our neighborhoods. There's technology we're about to unleash here that is going to be very beneficial to us that I don't think Volusia County has ever seen before, that we're hopeful in the fall we're coming after these people, to think that it's okay to go after people's mothers and sisters and do those things. Point the gun at the cops, shoot at the cops. We're not going to have it.
Barthel died at the scene?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
How are the other officers doing after this?
We got to visit with them very quickly. They're as good as can be expected. Nobody comes to work to kill anybody. And then obviously it's our job to worry about their psychological well-being, so they'll undergo some mandatory counseling to see where they're at before they get put back to duty. I can tell you, I will tell you both of them are shaken up. I don't think any of them expected this to happen. Either one of them expected this to happen.
Yeah, these things happen so fast. They happen so fast, and so it takes a while for them to process that.
Have you guys been in communication with Javion's family?
Notifications have been made.
We made a notification, yes. Yes, ma'am.
How are they doing?
I didn't talk to, we had our chaplain and an officer, make the notification.
It's still somebody's son.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm sure they're not doing well.
We'll send that video out to everybody so you have it. Great, thank you so much.
All right.
Thank you all very much.
Sure.
We're going to put that out.
We're gonna do you have that stone piece? This?
Yeah.
Can you just send it to me?
Sure.
Before you leave?
Sure.
Work on,
Okay.